Hello everyone and welcome back to Aussie Starcraft, where we're bringing you episode 2 of Ladder Shenanigans. This is me playing on the ladder, and certainly not what you're used to seeing here on the channel, where most of the other players that we cast are very high level masters and grandmasters. It is in fact me on the ladder, just having some fun, showing you guys that the idea of Starcraft is to get in there and have fun. It is a game, not all of us can play it professionally, so just going to show you a few of my games I've been playing recently. With the MMR decay, it has pushed me back down into Bronze League. Normally I ladder high silvers, low gold, but at the moment I'm having to slog my way through Bronze League. Gotta make sure I can get out of Bronze League sometime soon. My opponent in the bottom right hand corner is our red Zerg, is Probius OP. Going to be using the extractor trick just to get that extra drone going. I am laddering as Protoss currently. I did play Zerg heavily, particularly at the end of Wings of Liberty, start of Heart of the Swarm. Naturally, Heart of the Swarm being a Zerg expansion, I figured I'd give the Zerg a fair shot. I did manage to make it to gold with my Zerg, but I seem to really struggle against higher level players with the Zerg race. I struggled with the micro stages of the game, and as the Zerg, Death Ball would hit against things like Terran and Protoss, I would consistently trade worse than equivalent players. So decided I would go back to my Protoss roots and try and improve my gameplay there. And I had a few different ideas for this game. I've watched a lot of, obviously, things like DreamHack and other tournaments recently. I believe in this game I was thinking if I could go for some sort of 2-base play and try and hit before Mutalisks were on the field in any significant numbers. And I believe I decided I would go for some sort of Sentry Immortal play, but we will see. I played this game about a week ago and wasn't able to cast it. I was quite busy, but we'll see how I go. I did go for the Gateway Expand. It's pretty popular at the moment for Protoss. You can see I'm not hovering as many minerals, so really trying to focus on being efficient with what I've got. And now, as you guys know, when you're not a Grandmaster, it's about focusing on the basics. Like, not everyone's going to have 400 APM, so when you're playing, just trying to do sort of the very best you can. And I find that focusing on the basics is pretty important. As you can see, supply blocked here. I probably should have thrown that pylon down just a little bit earlier. But you know, you've got to try and focus on the basics. And one of the best places to focus on to start with is make sure you're consistently producing probes and pylons. Produce as many probes and pylons as you effectively can. Well, not, don't just drop 10 pylons and one gateway, but consistently be building probes one after the other. And as you max out on probes, expand, keep your production up, and you'll find that particularly at the lower levels of the game, in Bronze League, Silver League, and even Gold League, you'll win many of your matches just by having out macroed your opponent. You'll have significantly more forces than they do. See, I'm chrono boosting out a few more workers, trying to stay toe to toe. I am against a Zerg player, but you'll see only one worker deficit at the moment, so I'm not doing too badly. He's expanded, but currently just sitting on one queen, second one being produced from the main hatch, and a third one out the front. Hasn't actually done a whole lot of scouting, and now that my main is saturated, you'll see I've moved my rally points down to my second mineral patch. I've got a few zealots here just to make sure. Oh, looks like I'm trying to rearrange my units here. I probably could have walled that off a little bit tighter, but I always get frustrated when I do the tighter wall off and can't fit units through it later in the game. So trying to mix it up just a little bit. Got the Mothership Core coming out here. A good choice, particularly for Protoss players that expand quickly. Grab the Mothership Core. Make sure that your opponent can't just run some Zerglings in and take out your lower ground expansion. You can see I'm throwing down my 2 more gateways and robotics. I really do want to put on some robotics pressure. I want, my goal, like I said, was to hit before 2-base or 3-base Mutalisks, because the Mutalisks do make life quite difficult for the Protoss player. You have to either grab a bunch of Phoenix, which is difficult when you're going Robo, or you have to throw down a bunch of static defense and try and get some Archons or Blink Stalkers. So The idea being that we can land well before that, and we're gonna try and go for some immortals. Now, Zerg player actually going for a lot of static defense, not grabbing his third base as you'd sort of expect Zerg to do fairly shortly. He is going to move out with a group of Zerglings. You'll notice no Zergling speed. He's pretty much been playing gasless Zerg up to this point, which is quite popular for Zerg players at the moment. They generally go about 6 minutes before grabbing a lot of their gas, unless of course if they're a mirror matchup when Zergling speed's super important, they tend to grab it a lot quicker. My opponent going to grab the watchtower. As you can see, I actually haven't done a lot of scouting. I really should have focused on scouting a little bit more. Haven't grabbed any intel in a while, though I do have that watchtower to make sure I can pick up when he's moving out. Unfortunately, he did get around my vision. I thought I was safe there, and he's killing quite a lot of workers here. 7 workers killed. I should have moved these zealots down. Didn't want to give away the fact that I had so many sentries, but did lose a lot more workers than I intended. I actually managed to kill 11 workers with those Zerglings, so certainly not top micro there. My opponent's still going gasless, so you can see he's got a lot of lava here and hovering 2400 cash, so not actually sure why he's waiting that long. Going to produce 20 drones, could have built them a little while ago, but I can't really poke fun at my opponent. I just let 10 of his Zerglings own most of my mineral line. So Warp Gate finally finishing up here for me. First immortal on the way. Second one coming out now. I think I Chrono Beast these fairly shortly. My opponent's still got 1900 gas and 1900 minerals, no gas. He's finally grabbing some of his expansions. Was not expansion, sorry, some of his gas, and continuing to saturate this base fairly heavily. And I imagine we'll see him pull off a few of these drones for gas any moment now. In fact, there he goes, gassing it up. Now got 4 of his geysers going. We're still on 3 at the moment. Fortunately, set back just a little bit by those Zerglings. Gonna try and finish the wall in here. We've got lots of zealots and a few immortals. Third immortal on the way. Now I'm trying to remember if I went for the warp prism to try and reinforce these units. Now I'm deciding to move out here. Little do I know that just how many minerals and gas he was hovering. I expected to see him with a third base. You can see I'm streaking down for the third base. My objective being to kill that, not realizing that he has plenty of minerals and gas already saved up. You're actually throwing down a Roach Warren now, and you'll frequently see Zerg go for the sort of sledgehammer approach, made very popular I think by Stefano back in the day. He would just go for an almost Roach max very early on and put a heck of a lot of pressure on his opponents. Even if his opponents had things like immortals, just the sheer volume of Roaches would generally catch them by surprise and be able to kill their immortals off. See me establishing the proxy pylon so I can warp in some reinforcements, and I'm going to fairly easily take out this expansion. So nice little pickup for me. But my opponent's teching fairly well. He's already got his upgrades on the way. I've just got my Protoss 1 armor on the way, but we have quite a lot of Roaches being produced. We have 9 on the field already and another 12 in play. So as you can see, I could very quickly end up overwhelmed by Roaches here. I'm posturing a little bit, trying to pick off a few of his overlords. These are little sentries who could, but apparently they can't at the moment. I don't want to get too out of position and see, trying to engage here and pick off these units. I do have immortals, so throw down a time warp, figure I'll engage against these Roaches. Whoops, throwing my probe into the fray there. My immortals are getting a lot of damage done here, but I'm actually running out of units to tank for my immortals, so pulling back just while I reinforce a few more zealots here. My opponent, I do realise he's fairly securely walled in, so I decide fairly soon, I think I decide to pull back as I see just so many Roaches. There's already 15 on the field. There's actually 17 more in production, so if you're not careful you can just get swarmed. I do have some energy, but as you can see I decide I'm not going to be able to break this. I may as well pull back so I don't lose the army, and fairly soon you should... Oh, that was a big mistake, not grabbing my gas as early as I could. More immortals on the way. Oh, cancelling the second one, going for the Colossus. I didn't see my ally my enemy, sorry, quite fond of these roaches. Is up to 4 and a bit tabs. If I try to do maths and fail, we have 4 tabs, 5 tabs of roaches. That 5 at 8 is 40 roaches on the field. So that is a heck of a lot of roaches. Just choosing to go nothing but roach. I do throw down my third base. And quite soon I cotton on to the fact that my opponent is a little bit obsessed with roaches. I decide I'll just try and hard counter that with immortals. Unfortunately, don't have very good upgrades on mine at the moment, and I'm just trying to get out a few colossi as well to make the most of the colossus range. So. And one of the things, if you're not careful about, particularly in lower levels of play, you can fall prey to things like this roach sledgehammer. There is 61 roaches on the field. That's 120 supply just of straight roaches. 2 bases, straight roaches. As you can see, he is actually 60 supply ahead of me. So my army is a lot more damage dealing than his is, particularly across a limited front, if I can get him in some sort of choke point. But his army does have the potential to just overwhelm things. And you see it moving out here, just masses on masses of roaches. We have 61 moving out. I have 1 Colossus in play. Second one not being chrono boosted out. Would have been nice if I'd chrono boosted that. Still at about 120 supply. He's actually at 185, almost maxed out with these 1-1 roaches. I'm Protoss with 1-1 up, well 1-0, almost 1-1 upgrades now. And just trying to get my third base in position, set up, throwing down a few photon cannons behind my gateways, trying to make that a bit Zergling safe. If you want to protect yourself against counterattacks, use gateways and pylons and tuck your cannons in behind them. Makes it very hard for Zerglings to kill. But you can see this massive roach force moving up. Currently I don't have any of my Colossus in play here. I'm going to pull back. Very slow to be able to withdraw. Throwing down a few force fields here. Going to do a lot of damage here. My mothership core hasn't actually thrown down a photon overcharge yet, though I imagine I'd do that shortly. Yep, there's the overcharge now. But as you can see, just the sheer quantity of roaches not even engaging me directly, but he is able to just move in and just smash away at my nexus. In spite of the not attacking there, that was a bit of a faux pas on my part. He's just sacrificing all these roaches. If we look in his production tab, nothing in production. And you can see that my Colossus and Immortals just raking in so many kills. We have an Instructor Immortal there. And there, we're going to have to throw down that expansion. I know it's still 2 base to 2 base, so I'm not feeling too bad. Just moving those workers back down to where they can keep mining. But as you can see, he's just gone for a second big batch of roaches. 16 more on the way. So at this point I was feeling quite good. He did kill my base, but I know because I've parked a pylon in his base that he actually can't. He doesn't have an advantage on me. You'll notice I'm scouting a bit better now. I can see that he doesn't have a third base. And so I'm feeling good. I have 2 base, so I'm throwing back down my third. And my upgrades, a bit of a problem there. I am going finally for the +2 weapons. Ideally I would have grabbed a second forge and been upgrading a bit better, but I was concerned after that first pile of roaches came through. I was concerned that I would encounter a second group of them fairly quickly thereafter. So at the moment I'm just carefully trying to build up my forces, trying to re-establish my base, hovering a lot of minerals and gas. Really need to remember to use my warp in cycle. As you can see, all my warp gates are off cooldown, so that's certainly something I should work on in future games. Trying to efficiently produce off the buildings I have. As you can see, I have 6 warp gates I'm just not using regularly enough. I have 4 Colossus in play and there's no Spire. I believe at some point I get an observer down here and have a bit of a look. If we see my vision at this point, I've had a bit of a look, but not a massive look. I don't know for sure there's no Spire, but I figured I would have seen Mutalisk by now if he was going for them. And knowing that he's spent so much gas on roaches and didn't have his third base, I felt fairly good about not throwing too much sort of anti-Mutalisk defense down. Another Immortal down here just for good measure. If we look at the unit station, I'm still down on supply, 146 to 178, but I know that at this level Zerg particularly have trouble trying to end the game. So even though he's back up to 57 roaches, I know that he is going to have to try and meet my 4 Colossus and my 4 5 immortals on an even footing. Belshir Vestige has a lot of these sort of choke points, so you'll notice I'm keeping these 3 sentries, making sure I don't lose those. The plan being I'm just going to cut the roaches in half and dissect the army. So if we bring up the production tab, he's continuing to get his upgrades. His 2-2 almost finished. My 2 weapons just finishing up now. And you'll notice I have 2 Colossus in play at a time. Now, in all honesty, I probably would have been better off just maxing out on supply. I've already got 4 Colossi. Having a few more units when this hit would have been ideal. You can see I'm hovering a lot of resources. I really should have warped in. Often I'll hover about 170, 180 because I'll want to do some counter-attack harass with zealots and things. As you can see, he's trying to fight uphill. I have 5 Colossus on the high ground, just trying to pin these roaches. They are pinned on this side. He's going straight for the base. Obviously his plan's just to bludgeon the base to death and try and win it economically, but unfortunately for him, if we look at the units lost tab, I'm almost half his units lost, so trading very efficiently, particularly with the Colossi, and able to clean up these roaches without losing the base. Even the Nexus doing a bit of damage with the Photon Overcharge. This is the point where I know, alright, I'm in a great position, just smashed a good deal of his army, and we can see that he's decided to max out on 60 Zerglings. Now this, for you Zerg players out there, this is one of those things that you should know to avoid. So many people do it. They know that a counter-attack's coming, just mass out on Zergling. You can see he's still got a lot of minerals and gas, and to use the 30 lava to get these Zergling, trying to counter-attack, but non-speed Zergling's not much of a threat. They are on the move command, so lots of them taking damage there. My Colossus eventually going to decide to gun down the remainder. Trying to micro my Colossus back against these roaches, try and do it as cost effectively as possible. As I was saying, you want to max out. If you've got a lot of resources and limited lava, you don't want to just chunk out a bunch of Zerglings. Go for roaches, go for hydras, something a bit more durable, and fat out your army rather than just producing massive amount of Zerglings and relying on your tier 1 units to try and defeat a tier 2 or tier 3 death ball. You can see he's just streaming these Zerglings into their doom. And there he's going to tap out of the game. So nice mannered exit from Probius, and yeah, good game from myself. Obviously not pro stand. Lots of things I needed to improve on there. Things like producing out of my buildings, grabbing my gas a lot earlier. See, even at the end of the game, I hadn't put my workers back in gas, so suffering a bit for gas. I was hovering quite a lot, but that was because I wasn't producing off my gateway. So lots of things I could have done to improve. Didn't even max out my supply, which is certainly something I need to improve on. But managed to hold against the steady Roach sledgehammer and win in game 2. So yeah, that's second episode of Ladder Shenanigans. You'll be seeing a bit more of this in the coming weeks. So you guys take to the ladder yourself. Let us know how you're going in your matchups. Has MMR Decay been as cruel to you as it has to me? Are you fighting out in Bronze League? I find even the players I'm versing in Silver League at the moment, very good players, tending to be players that have likewise dropped down from higher leagues. So who knows, maybe Silver's the new gold, or maybe I just say that to make myself feel better. Who knows, but hope you guys are enjoying the cast. Hope seeing my terrible play makes you feel better about your own, and let us know how you're going on the ladder, particularly in the post-patch environment. So yeah, that's all from me at Aussie Starcraft. We'll catch you in the next cast.